if I'm giving you 100 rupees and I am asking you 10 rupees extra, that extra 10 rupees on the money. So money on money transaction is called riba primarily. The five or six major principle, murabaha. I hope everybody, any small kid will also understand. Similarly, there's another concept called mudaraba. Similarly, there is the ijara model. Ijara is nothing but rental model. And through these, the Islamic banks get income. So under RBI and all, it is not possible. We cannot even think about it. So unless and until RBI introduces a small window for an Islamic banking and finance, then it is not possible to take it nationally. So the only solution in India currently, if you're asking me globally, there's another answer. But for India currently, it is only under credit cooperative societies.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. A warm welcome to all, because we are very happy that the Department of Fiqh and Usul Fiqh at Bustanul Ulum Arabic College has conducting many various programs. Under the department, we have conducting an interview, which is the most prominent and important interview. Okay, now we are in Bangalore. We are very happy because we are going to interview Taqwa. Taqwa it was an Islamic bank, and so we have a new guest. His was Muhammad Fayis Shingiri. He is the CEO of Taqwa Bank. He is a software engineer and he worked in MNCS 10 years, and he joined Taqwa Bank in 2018. Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Introduce about Taqwa.
So Taqwa is actually an Islamic banking model which was started in India. So it was founded by Dr. Fayis Shingiri. So the work of Islamic banking and finance, it started in 1980s itself. That was the stepping stone for Taqwa, basically. Right, in 1980s, when the founder Dr. Fayis Shingiri was working with the conventional bank, the Royal Bank of Canada, there he developed an interest. Banking is such a beautiful model, and Islam does not have a solution to it. I do not agree, right? From there, his research started, because banking is a beautiful system. If you keep the riba aside, right, almost all the economic activities or all the businesses revolve around a bank, right? And banking is also known as the pioneer of all business. So banking is actually a good thing, but then because of the interest element, it is not allowed and it is prohibited, right? And it is seen with such eyes. So in 1980s itself, the research work started under the guidance of Mufti Qazi Mujahidul Qasmi Sahib. And then under his guidance, he also wrote a thesis, and which took the form of his first book. So he released his first book on Islamic banking and finance, called a pure model of interest-free banking, right? And this was published in the year 1994. So that is how the first stepping stone for Islamic banking and finance happened for Taqwa. And then eventually he also did his PhD and masters in Islamic banking and finance. And he has worked with the Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank for a couple of years also. And after his retirement, he started Taqwa in India. So that's how Taqwa, an Islamic banking model, came into existence in 2015. So this is just a short introduction about Taqwa Islamic banking model.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. Now we are going to clearing our normal doubts. So firstly, we all know that in India there were RBI system. So what is difficult to start an industry-free bank under the current RBI and banking laws? What is the difficulty to start a new bank or industry-free bank under RBI system?
Right. So RBI is formed under the Banking Regulation Act, right, of 1949.
Okay.
So the Regulation Act itself says that they have to deal with interest itself. So the concept of Islamic banking at that time was never started itself, right? And till then, from 1949, it has always been that old system of interest bearing banking system, which was initially started by the Jews and then it spread, right? So So under RBI, there are a lot of challenges because India being, especially if you are talking about India, India being a secular country, right? Uh, it has to treat all religions equally. First, the first and foremost thing, and the constitution was already made in 1950. So now changing these rules and regulations is not a cakewalk. It's not like RBI out of a sudden they just want to change the rule and then implement Islamic banking. It does not happen, and this system, right, the conventional banking system, it is followed throughout the world, and India has to think as a country also, right? It has to do transaction with other countries, get for inward remittances or any forward remittances, and everything is based on interest. So it is difficult to change the constitution or to make any changes to the Banking Regulation Act as such. So these are the major challenges what we see, right?
Okay, the another question is about the what are the constitutional or a political challenges faced by Islamic banking in a secular and a pluralistic country like India?
Yeah, so as I said earlier, India is a land of multiple religions, right? And just because there is this banking system in Islam which has been developed in 1975, right? Uh, no other religion has such an advanced system, such an advanced banking model. They do not have the solution actually, right? And being such a diverse country and a pluralistic country, it cannot cater to all religions, right? They think that the financial inclusion of all the communities of India is currently solved with the existing system,
Nice.
the convention system. So there is no need for another Islamic banking system as such. Tomorrow, if we even allow an Islamic banking system, some another community or some another religion will come, like Sikh banking system. They might force to introduce. So this has a lot of challenges for the RBI itself. They have to maintain two compliance system, accounting systems, right? So that is what poses a big challenge to them,
Okay.
to RBI and the country as such. And moreover, when it comes to banking system, it is more about trust, right? It's a highly trusted industry, right? Where a lot of people put in their trust in a bank. So they do not want multiple systems to work together as such. And politically, a lot of challenges are there because, as we all know, India, uh, uh, it's a very politicized country, right? A lot of hate politics, mainly because of multiple religions, right? And it's not like no work has been done as such. Uh, but in 2011, former chief minister of Kerala also, he has also supported, and he was very vocal about supporting. He wholeheartedly supports Islamic banking system in 2011, right? And after that, a lot of steps has been taken actually from the political parties also
Yes.
to introduce, because everybody deep down they know that this is the only system and it will definitely bring an economic reform for the entire country, not only for Muslim communities. Deep down they know, but only because of the politics involved here, they do not want to bring it up. I can quote you another example, that in 2015, I guess, there was a report by Debashish Mohanty Committee report, wherein a lot of people had proposed about introducing Islamic banking system in India. And if you go through that report, right, it has a soft corner for Islamic banking and finance. There are challenges, obviously, right? But then in 2017, again, that report was kept aside by the central government at that time. That currently it is not required because as a country we are already covering the entire people under this. The financial inclusion is already happening in the current system, so they didn't want to again introduce. Apart from that, a lot of other Raghuram Rajan reports are also there, which has a soft corner for Islamic banking and finance system, but primarily because of the maybe the political reasons as such. and again the constitutional reasons, because India is such a diverse and multilingual country, and as such, right? That is the primary reasons.
Okay, and another question is about, is it possible to introduce interest-free financial products like Mudaraba and Ijara and Qarl al-Ihsan under NBFC or cooperative models without violating Indian banking laws?
Right. So in under NBFC, so NBFCs report to RBI.
Okay.
So we already talked about why RBI has posed a challenge, right? It is challenging for RBI to maintain dual accounting standards for Islamic banking and the conventional. There are so since NBFCs report to the RBI, under NBFCs it is not possible at all, right? Right? It is next to impossible over there unless and until RBI changes or brings any opens up a small window for it, right? But under cooperative societies, just like how Taqwa is operating under the cooperative society, so just like how banks report to the RBI, cooperative societies report to a body called as RCS, right? So here you have the flexibility of creating your own bylaws. So bylaws, if you so in 2015 we have created a bylaws in such a way that the Sharia principles are there.
Yes.
It's not like very vocal about it, but then we are not going against the law. And most importantly, the bylaws has been approved by the topmost authority for the societies, the registrar of cooperative societies, right? So that is how under cooperative societies you can, or one anybody, they can run an Islamic banking and finance model. Not only credit cooperative societies, there I recently got to know about consumer cooperative societies also. But then consumer cooperative society has a lot of other challenges. So coming to your question of how can we operate these Mudaraba, Musharaka models,
Ijara.
Ijara models under cooperative societies is again uh, it is basically under cooperative societies. When you introduce this, right, we cannot be very vocal about uh, the lending part, right? There is another challenge if you introduce under the RBI or under NBFCs. I'll tell you another challenge under NBFCs is that the Islamic banking and finance principle are more about profit and loss sharing,
Yes.
right? So whenever there is a profit in the business in India, it is applicable. You are supposed to pay a capital gain tax on that. Then the GST also comes into picture, right? Then the stamp duties also come into picture. So eventually, whatever profit you make, it is like nothing. You are left with nothing because of the capital gain taxes, GST, stamp duties, etc. Because there is a trading happening.
Yes.
And Islamic banking by finance principle are based on trading principle. But according to the lending definition, which the banks use, there is nothing on interest. There is no charges or no GSTs on interest, etc. So again, under NBFCs, it again becomes a challenge, right? So, but under cooperative societies, we have to work around these rules itself,
Yes.
right? Like just like I told about Murabaha, Musharaka, it is under the purview of the bylaws. In bylaws, we have just introduced, and it works under that principle, those principles.
Okay, the another question is about, how does an Islamic bank generate a profit without charging any interest? Because we all know that the whole bank in India is charging interest. Without interest, no more any bank can start. So at the time in the Islamic bank system, there were no charge. So what is the, how you generate the profit without charging any interest?
Right. So an Islamic bank primarily works on again the five or six major trading principles. Again, I'm telling again and again trading because a lot of people have misconceptions, because they tell you are also taking interest from the other hand, right? So these are all misconceptions, and by trading principle, it's mainly or five or six trading principles which which any Islamic bank use. So, for example, the Murabaha principle, right? In simple words, if I want to explain Murabaha to any kid, everybody knows about it, right? It is not, Murabaha is nothing but cost plus profit, right? Sure. So if you have a 10 rupees pen, right, and then I'm selling it for a 2 rupees markup, so that cost plus profit. So this is the Murabaha principle which the Islamic bank used to do any kind of a commodity finance or an automobile finance. Suppose there's a 1 lakh vehicle, I put a profit, the Islamic bank puts up a profit and sells it to you. This is a normal trading principle actually. And by the definition of interest, right, a lot of people do not understand the definition of interest also at times. What exactly is riba, right? If I'm giving you 1 lakh rupees or say 100 rupees and I am asking you 10 rupees extra, that extra 10 rupees on the money. So money on money transaction is called riba primarily,
Interesting.
right? And according to the Islamic definition of money, money is not a commodity, right? And in an Islamic bank, there is always a commodity in between. We never give you money. You see, we never give you cash. We buy a commodity for you, right? The Western monetary system says money is a commodity. I am renting out my money to you, 100 rupees. Give me rent, right? That's a very wrong definition of money actually. So we have to follow the Islamic definition of money, right? So that's how in an Islamic bank. So as I told, the five or six major principle murabaha. I hope everybody, any small kid will also understand cost plus profit, right? There are certain rules and regulation. Obviously, one has to follow. Similarly, there's another concept called mudaraba. Mudaraba is a partnership agreement, right? There is one working partner and one investor. Similarly, there is the ijara model. Ijara is nothing but rental model. So you rent out something. You rent out safety lockers, or you rent out a house, or you rent out a vehicle, and through these the Islamic banks get income.
Sure.
Right. So apart from these models, apart from these trading principles, there is also a concept of service charges. Also, the Islamic banks also at times charges some service charge. Okay, and then there's a processing and documentation fee. Through these, the Islamic bank earns, right? Because you are earning with whose money? The customer's money, the investors. The customers are nothing but investors for an Islamic bank primarily, right? And for them, you have to give a return, and these investors are a part of the profit and loss actually. But the chances of losses for these customers or investors in an Islamic bank is negligible, because it is mostly or most of the time it is backed by a collateral. There is always a security behind it, right? Yeah.
Then, what about your opinion that the Indian bank system is buying interest in all people?
Sorry.
Currently, not keep growing the interest. So the RBI system is that about buying interest without any buying interest. No more any bank can start in India. That the RBI policy.
Correct.
At the time, other banks like SBI, that the other banks not communicating like Islamic perspectives bank. So what about your opinion that that the bank is buying interest from the peoples?
Bank is buying interest from the people. See, under RBI, it is totally not possible actually, because they follow the Western monetary system, right? They are lending out money, because it is a commodity for them. So under RBI and all, it is not possible. We cannot even think about it. So unless and until RBI introduces a small window for an Islamic banking and finance, then it is not possible to take it nationally. So the only solution in India currently, if you're asking me globally, there's another answer. But for India currently, it is only under credit cooperative societies primarily.
And the next is question is about the what is the role of Sharia supervisory board in ensuring industry-free appliances?
The Sharia supervisory board is like a must, right? Without which an Islamic bank cannot operate at all. They are like the spiritual advisors for us, for any Islamic bank actually. So there are two types of Sharia advisory. One is internal Sharia advisory board, and then an external Sharia advisory board, and it is independent. So the internal Sharia advisory board, the primary role of those people, they are usually Islamic scholars, right? And they have a good knowledge about Islamic banking and finance, obviously, and then and the fiqh muamilat and kitab al-buyu, etc. And their day-to-day activities revolve around checking out and looking into the day-to-day operations, whether everything here it is happening is Sharia compliant or not. Apart from that, if you want to review any existing product, right, they do that particular review also, that is this product actually Sharia compliant or not. And another is if you want to introduce a new product in a new Islamic banking or finance product, then they help develop these policies, procedures, and then they only tell us, they actually guide how this product can be made Sharia compliant. This is all happening by the internal Sharia. And they are also like the teachers, and they give training to the existing employees also. And another job of an internal Sharia audit is somehow if sometimes some non-Sharia compliant comes in, non-Sharia compliant income comes into the system.
Yes.
How do you purify it? So there also they play a very important role on how to purify this, or how to make a how to deal with this non-Sharia compliant income, right? Apart from that, they are the face also. A lot of our people or anybody, they have a lot of trust on these Islamic scholars, right? So they act like a trust for the Islamic bank, and they help convince the people
Okay.
in understanding what an Islamic bank is, and so they are the trust builders for us, for any Islamic bank as such. And apart from that, so around these internal Sharia board, they also prepare, every quarter, or biannually, they also prepare reports of the Islamic bank, and then these reports can be shared with the external Sharia audits,
Sure.
Sharia Advisory Board, which they review, and then they also come in and do an independent Sharia audit. So these two go hand in hand. It's not like you can always have you can only have an external Sharia board and not an internal, and vice versa is also not possible. Both should be there for any Islamic banks or financial institutions to work. And every year, at least every 6 months, the audit should happen. Otherwise, it does not make sense to even operate.
Sure. And the next is the most prominent question. Are current Islamic banking models truly interest free, or do they mimic interest in other forms?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. So a lot of people still have this question that Islamic banks mimic the conventional bank, right? This question is always there, will be there, was there. In fact, even Allah has mentioned about this in Surah Baqarah, ayat 275. Innamal bayu mithlu riba.
Sure.
Trading is just like riba, right? So this is the same question which the people also poses, right? Are you also trying to mimic the traditional system, right? But as we all know that in Islamic banking always follows the trading principle, and not the conventional system. And what is the continuation of that ayah? That trading has been allowed for you, and riba has been prohibited for you, right? So this question will always be there. People will always come up with this question: Are you trying to mimic the conventional
other
system?
ways.
Yeah, this always be there, right? So there is nothing new on that. For that, we just have to make them understand that Islamic banking is again based on the trading principles, right? And they should know that again the definition of money, and how a conventional bank works, and how an Islamic bank works, right? These are the primary things which people have to understand, that it is not mimicking here, it is purely a trading principles are applied here.
So, what is the current answer to prominent that the Islamic banking has correctly in truly way, not in mimicking in other people's money? So, what is a prominent opinion about that?
So see, the thing is, in Islamic banking can never be nobody can ever say that my Islamic bank is 100% Sharia compliant,
Sure.
right? Even in Islamic countries where the government, the central government supports an Islamic bank, they also can never claim themselves that they are 100% Sharia compliant, right? But at least it is a journey towards making something right. So if you see the history, this banking system, how old is it? It is more than 3 centuries old or 4 centuries old, started by the Jews, right? That
Currently,
old is the system, and that system has been spread globally, right? All the central banks are operated by them, right? And you cannot diverge from those people, that banking system. But this Islamic banking and finance is the way going forward. It's not like okay, this has been there for centuries, we will not come up with a solution. So in 1975 people started it from Saudi. It started, and it is a way towards the right path. And to completely eradicate the conventional system, it is not a one day or one century thing, right? It will gradually progress. And suppose if somebody says that okay, they are 50% Sharia compliant or 70% Sharia compliant or whatever it is, but at least it is better than the conventional system, right?
So,
So people have to understand this thing, right? Again, nobody can never claim the Sharia. We also never ever claim that we are 100% Sharia, and it can never be actually. The only reason because it's a very old system,
so
and to eradicate that, it takes time. It will take time, and for to eradicate that, a lot of steps have to be taken, and steps has been taken. It's only just 50 years now. 1975, if the Islamic banking started, it's just 50 years. 2025, almost 50 years are completed, and gradually it is again increasing, right? It is again spreading. If you see the entire world population also, globally, only 40% of the countries in the world have accepted Islamic banking and finance, or they are working on a dual method, right? Or they are working on a piloting method. Other 60% of the countries globally are yet to introduce. But in 50 years, 40% of the country is a big achievement. Not bad, right?
okay. So, and another question, also most related question: how can an Islamic banking be made more accessible and a competitive in global financial forms?
Okay, how can it be more accessible? Yeah. So as they say there, right, charity always starts from home. So instead of going globally, let us start nationally first, right? And
So,
before even nationally, you come down to your state first. But before even your state, you come down to your city first, or you come down to your town first, right? And from there, the first step, what we suggest, or this is my opinion, how we can grow globally, or implement this globally, is you first have to educate people around you about Islamic banking and finance, right? It should be mandatorily there, be in the syllabuses of students, or at least the younger generation. They should know about it. They should know about murabaha, mudaraba, musharaka, how an Islamic bank works, right? These things should always be there from the root. And once the educational awareness is happening in the city or the town or the state, then probably it can spread, right? And second most important, once the educational awareness is there, I would definitely say that you should always try to develop your own societies, just like we have a society. See, it is not only for Bangalore or Karnataka, it is for the entire humanity actually. It's not like we are supposed to take customers only Muslim customers, right? It is for the entire humanity actually. Anybody will open an account, right? So what I'm suggesting is every community. So in India there are 6,000, more than 6,000 communities.
yes.
If every community start thinking that our community's amount capital, we will keep it in our hands and work for the upliftment of our community, then there is nothing like it. So the sad part is our entire community's amount and money, where is it kept? In traditional banks, which is of no use to us because we do not take that interest also, right? And indirectly we are supporting the banks.
Okay.
So what I suggest, or what I believe, that after the education, once an educational awareness is there, the second step is one community should start their own society.
Oh,
A lot of people actually do here in Karnataka. I have heard the Gaudas. You have heard the people, the Gaudas. They have their own societies, and they are working for the upliftment of Gauda community. Gauda is a community actually, right? So similarly, every community should work for the upliftment of their community, right? And similarly, again, in such a way, there will be multiple societies, and then these societies can work with each other, which is again based on an Islamic banking model, right? These are the two major things again. And then once we are becoming strong state-wise, then we can think about national, going national, and then global.
global.
Actually,
So the education is the main important.
primary thing, yeah, because
So we are going to concluding our first session. Mr. CEO is completely okay, and he gave the correct answer for each question, and we are so happy by that. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi.